Hey guys, welcome back. I'm going to put in this little edit because I can't remember to say this in my actual videos, but I am trying to get to 500 subs. I'm at 400, and if you like this content, you like my videos, it doesn't cost anything to subscribe, and I'd appreciate a sub. So if you like it, throw me a sub. I'd really appreciate it. But with that, let's get to the video. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. Welcome back. So we're going to do another episode of The Bots this month on my favorite Roman of all time, Julius Caesar, and possibly the most interesting humans of all time. This guy's fascinating. And, you know, my little 5-minute segment here is not going to do this guy justice. And, you know, if anybody would be interested, I would certainly do a full-length long-form video just about this guy. I know this is a chess channel, but it would give me a good excuse to do that. So if anybody would be interested, I would certainly do it. I may do it anyway, even if nobody's interested, just to do it. But anyway, so who was this guy? So he was born to a Roman family, a fairly prestigious family, and they, you know, weren't the most influential family in Rome, but they were a you know, kind of a well-off family. And his dad dies, and, you know, at a fairly early age, and he gets appointed, it may have been before his dad died, to some kind of a priesthood. I can't remember what it was, but he goes in, you know, he gets this job as like some kind of a priest, and, you know, he ended up, I can't remember exactly how it happened, so forgive me. I'm not reading up on all this stuff before I publish these, but there's a civil war when Julius Caesar is still fairly young, and it was between Sulla and Marius, however you say it. And Marius is also another incredibly fascinating figure. So is Sulla. And anyway, there's a civil war. It's a long story, but Sulla wins the war. Marius, he dies, and Julius Caesar finds himself on a prescription list to be executed. And allegedly, it's kind of, you know, most people say that he was. There's kind of a little bit of disagreement, I think, in that. But the story goes that Julius Caesar is on a prescription list to be executed, and he ultimately goes to Sulla to try to save his life. And so he does. He goes and talks to Sulla, and I guess Sulla tries to get him to divorce his wife. He doesn't want to do it. Somehow he talks his way out of it, but, you know, Sulla says that in this young Caesar he sees many a Marius, and, you know, basically this guy, you know, in this guy he sees Marius, which who knows if he really said that. I don't know, but anyway, that's how the story goes. But he ultimately gets captured by pirates, and they're like, you know, demanding a ransom for Julius Caesar, and he finds out how much it is, and he's like, you know, is that all? Do you know who I am? And he's like, you got to triple that number. So they do. And it gets paid, and Julius Caesar comes back and captures and executes these guys. He was a low-level military officer, not, you know, the commander that he comes to be later in life, but he was a low-level military officer. It may have been during the Civil War that he was a military officer, but he did have military experience, and then he gets appointed as Pontifex Maximus, which is a really prestigious religious appointment at the time in Rome. And he has that for a while. He may have actually died with that title. But anyway, you know, his military career gets all of the headlines, but he was also a politician. And he was a consul, and he formed the first triumvirate with Pompey Magnus and, I got a bug in my face, get out of here, dude, with Pompey Magnus and Marcus Crassus. Marcus Crassus was he was also a military figure, but his career wasn't nearly as fruitful as the other two. He actually got killed in Parthia before Julius Caesar died. He was the first of the triumvirate to die, he launched an unsuccessful military campaign in Parthia and was ultimately captured. And the story goes that they captured him, and Crassus was the richest man in Rome, one of the richest men in history, and they captured him, and they knew how greedy this guy was, and they apparently, according to the story, melted gold and poured it down his throat when they caught him. So there goes the triumvirate. So then it was Pompey and Julius Caesar that was the two, kind of running the show in Rome, and they were close friends. And Julius Caesar's daughter was actually married to Pompey, but Julius Caesar ends up, after his consulship, he gets appointed to a post in Gaul. And it was like, I think Cisalpine Gaul is where it was at, I believe. Gaul on this side of the Alps. So, long story short, Julius Caesar had wanted to make a name for himself, and he had this meteoric rise in politics, and he had accumulated a lot of debt to do it. And they say that he had his eye on this military campaign. Really, anywhere that he went, he wanted to go somewhere where he would be able to fight a war. And so he gets appointed to this post in northern Italy, basically. And this tribe comes through. It was kind of, a Gaulish tribe, and Gallic tribe. And they didn't show up looking for a fight. They wanted to pass to go through somewhere. And Julius Caesar kind of told them, hey, come back and talk to me in a couple of days. And when they came back to talk to him in a couple of days, he had built this massive fortification and was ready for a fight. And he got a fight. And he launched one of the most famous campaigns in history against Gaul. And it wasn't, Gaul was not a unified, modern Gaul Gaul at the time is effectively modern France. And it wasn't a united state the way that it is today. It was a collection of tribes that all lived there. But they ended up more or less united under a guy named Vercingetorix. And Vercingetorix, under his leadership, fought a war against Julius Caesar in one of the history's most climactic moments, the Siege at Alesia. And Julius Caesar had built a wall around this city, and Vercingetorix had been defeated, and he takes refuge at this city. So Julius Caesar wants to siege him out. So he builds a wall. And before he's able to complete the wall, they get word out of the city for help. Please help. Because Julius Caesar was a brilliant military commander. And he'd really roughed these people up. And they needed help. So they get the word out. And, what descends on this city is just incredible. An incredible military force shows up. So Julius Caesar finds out that this is bearing down on him. And in one of military history's, most epic moments, he builds a second wall, fortifying himself from the outside. So he's got a wall fortifying, against the city, so they can't come out, and he's got a wall kind of protecting himself, his back, on the outside of his inner wall, protecting against the incoming attack. And if the attack fails, Julius Caesar wins the battle. And of course, who knows how epic it was, but one of the main sources of the story comes from Julius Caesar's book himself, writing it, and so of course he's the hero and whatever. But anyway, that's what happened. They win the battle, and Julius Caesar is triumphant, and Vercingetorix ultimately lays down his arms, surrenders to Julius Caesar, and he's later executed in Rome. But Julius Caesar goes on after that, and there's a Germanic tribe or some Germanic tribes that are crossing the Rhine River and coming into Gaul, kind of interfering with what's going on in what Julius Caesar now sees as his territory. and to put a stop to it, because kind of what was going on is these Germanic tribes would come across the Rhine and siege towns and take slaves and money and and stuff, and go back across the Rhine. And as long as they got across the Rhine, it was they kind of left them alone. That's kind of how it had worked. But when Julius Caesar comes to Gaul, this isn't going to work anymore. So he builds a bridge and crosses the Rhine and goes into Gaul. And I don't know that he actually fought a battle, but he did lay waste to several communities. And he crossed the river, with this bridge, and it was just an incredible display of engineering that these people, these Germanic tribesmen had never seen. And the speed at which this military juggernaut crosses the river is incredible. And it scared the crap out of these people. And that kind of put a stop to that for a while. He comes back and he launches an invasion of Great Britain, or the British Isles, modern day Great Britain. It was kind of a disaster, but he survived it, and he comes back, and a civil war breaks out because Pompey, his great buddy Pompey, his wife Julius Caesar's daughter, dies in childbirth, and the strings that bound these two together start to fray. The people in Rome are terribly upset with Julius Caesar because during his time as the consul in Rome, he introduced a lot of changes, land reform, where he wanted to take land away from these incredibly rich senators and redistribute it to his veterans, namely, but I think it was also to regular citizens, trying to redistribute wealth some from the top richest men in Rome, which just so happened to be the most powerful. And he tried to make the Senate more transparent about what was being done in the Senate, so he was publishing records of what was happening, and these were then given to the public, and they didn't like that either. And so Julius Caesar's public enemy number one, and basically they turned Pompey against him. And Pompey is another great military figure that's overshadowed by Julius Caesar because he ultimately loses the war. Now, had he won that war, it would be Pompey that people know and not Julius Caesar. But that's not what happened. So anyway, they tell Julius Caesar, hey, you got to lay down your arms. Your time in this position is over. I think it was a governorship that he got, or a proconsul or something like that. Anyway, they say, hey, man, you got to come home, lay down your arms, and come back to Rome as a citizen. But the problem with that is if he came back as a private citizen, he was going to be tried. They were going to try him. And I don't think that execution was on the table, but it certainly would have been an embarrassment, a black eye for his career. Maybe they strip him of his citizenship. Who knows? So he didn't want to do that. So in another incredibly fateful, iconic moment, Caesar crosses the Rubicon and launches an invasion of Rome with the veterans that he has spent all these years winning these campaigns with in Gaul and Great Britain, the British Isles. Anyway, he launches an invasion. It was a small invasion. It wasn't a massive invasion, but it was done at lightning pace, and it took everybody in Rome by surprise that he had done this, for one, and the speed in which he was coming south was incredible. And they didn't have time to gather the forces. Although Caesar's army was relatively small, they didn't have time to gather the forces to oppose him. So they flee Rome, and they go to southern Italy. And while Caesar's leading the spearhead of this army south, his junior officers are gathering their strength in Gaul for a big fight. But Caesar wanted to launch the invasion immediately. He didn't want to wait to gather his forces and allow Rome to reach out all over the empire and overwhelm him. He thought that having the initiative was the way to go, so that's what he did. He launched that invasion, scared them, and they fled. And it leads to a series of battles in Greece And Caesar wins. Caesar wins. He wins the battles. And I said earlier in one of the videos, I believe it was the Battle of Pharsalus, however you say that he ultimately defeats Pompey, and Pompey flees to Egypt. And when he gets to Egypt, he's captured by the Egyptians, who think, hey, we're going to get on this guy's good side because he's just won this war, and we're going to capture this guy and kill him. So they did. They capture Pompey when he shows up, and they execute him. And it was a bad mistake because Caesar was not happy about it. Because this guy had been a friend, and kind of a policy of Julius Caesar's was, look, you could do him wrong, and he would offer clemency to these people and say, listen, we've had our differences, but we're stronger when we work together, and let's put the past behind us and work together. And some of the people that opposed him was Brutus and Cassius. I think his name was Cassius. Again, I'm doing this from memory, but anyway, he forgives these guys, which turned out to be literally his undoing, but that's going to come in a minute. But anyway, with Pompey dead, he doesn't have the opportunity to say, hey, we've mended our differences and we're one united Roman Republic and things are okay. He was upset that he died. And anyway, he ends up fighting down there in Egypt. He gets mixed up in a civil war down there. He ultimately falls in love with Cleopatra. They have a kid together. He comes back with her to Rome, and that does not go over well at all. He ends up leaving his wife. I don't think it was for Cleopatra, but he did end up leaving his wife over a party that she had. And they said that there was a man there, and it wasn't supposed to be or something. And he said Caesar's wife must be beyond reproach or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, that all happened. And so anyway, he wins the Civil War, sorts all this out in Egypt. He ends up fighting against Pompey's sons in modern Spain, the Iberian Peninsula, puts all that down, and he's going to invade Parthia, who killed his friend Crassus. But on the Ides of March 15th, Caesar goes to the Senate to kind of do his last public act as dictator. He was dictator of Rome, had been appointed dictator for life, and he goes and he's going to do his last public act before setting off on this campaign, and they killed him. And it was Brutus and Cassius that I guess had masterminded this thing, and they killed him. They stabbed him in the Senate. And that is another incredibly iconic moment in history, because had he not died, who knows what would have happened. But he did die. And, following that, another civil war breaks out. A lot of his junior officers, Lepidus and Mark Antony, rise to power, and we'll talk about Mark Antony again. They become prominent figures. His nephew, Octavian, ultimately wins that civil war and becomes the first emperor of Rome, princeps, as they called it at the time. He wasn't an emperor. He was the first citizen or something like that. So anyway, this guy's an incredibly important figure in Rome. He was the beginning of, you could make the argument that the beginning of the end came with the civil war between Sulla and Marius, but Julius Caesar proved ultimately to be the undoing of the Roman Republic and ushered in the Roman Empire. And he's a fascinating figure, incredibly fascinating. And again, this little intro that's went way longer than I expected it to doesn't do this guy justice. He's absolutely fascinating. And if anybody be interested, I would be willing to do a full-length thing about him. But for now, I'm going to get trounced in a chess game by this guy. So let's stick with Old Faithful. Can we get a Ruy Lopez? We get a Ruy Lopez. At least I'm fairly familiar with this. I bet he takes. Now, I know that this is the best move, and this is the open Spanish. And I'm not terribly familiar with this line. But we're going to play it. Yeah, we're going to play it. Now, so I think I have to take here. I know this is the move. So, yeah, let's capture. So he's adding defense to this. That's hit twice. So, this move here, and he comes back to here. I know that I'm going to lose my bishop in this. I have this hitting these two. If he takes, I could recapture with my bishop, but the queen would hit me there. So what's the move? I think that the move is this, and he comes around. When he does come here, what happens then? I could play this. So this is the thing. If I play here, and he pushes, he's defending that twice. I'm attacking it twice, so I can't capture. I could take here. That opens the F file. But I do know that this move is solid. However, when I play this, he comes here and I lose my light squared bishop. But I'm going to play it. And he retreats. Okay. So, I'm going to lose the bishop. So where does this knight go now? Do I play this? I think the idea is to recapture like this. We're being out-theoried by Julius Caesar here. So that's defended twice, attacked once. If I played here, takes, 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 takes. I could play this, but that lets him come in here, don't it? I could play here. I'm going to play this move. Wait. If I go here and he takes, I would recapture. When the pawn gets pushed, well, I could recapture like this. Yeah, let's do this. Okay. Now, if I capture with the knight, I'm hitting that square 3 times. So let's do this. Let's do this. Okay, that gives his knight a good square here. But don't I have this move pushing the bishop back? Maybe to here? Am I worried about the bishop being here? I have this, which I gotta say, don't feel terrible. I have this move, centralizing the knight and hitting those 2 pieces, which also feels pretty good. I think I'm going to play it like this. Castles. Takes, takes, and my rook hangs at the end of that. But I could take the bishop pair away from him. That does open up the F file. That does open up the f-file. But if he pushes this, then my knight is stupid. I could take, and take. And that does win me a pawn. The queen could come down to here, but that's defended. But that's a pretty fragile construction. Let's take the bishop pair. I know that I'm going to open his rook, and I'm not a huge fan of that. So if I play this, he comes here. Yeah, let's play it. Let's play it. All right. So now he could play here and target my my doohickey. This guy. Now I have this putting pressure here. If he takes, that is defended. This move actually has a couple of threats. If he played that, I can't do that because he would take. But I do think this is a fairly decent move. I think this is a fairly decent move. I knew that move was terrible. Actually, I have this. He can't play here. So this actually is... That's under attack. But this threatens checkmate. So he can't take that. Now he could play this. What if I played here? Let's make him find good moves. Okay. That's a good move. That counts as a good move. He would have a check if I played this. Now I have this move. Check. And he could force the rook, what do you call it? Force the queens off. I really don't want the queens off the board. Also, this is just hanging now. I can't sack the queen. I'd like to. I would like to sack the queen, but I can't. If I play here, this is a problem. So how do I defend? I think I have to play this, right? Check. Then I step over. I'm going to play it. I'm going to play it. Now, if I play here, maybe I could anchor my guy here. I don't want to trade. I don't want to trade this off. Now, if I play here and he just comes back, The problem here is if I take this, the queen comes over, and now I'm double attacked here, so I'm not going to do that. If I played this and he played here, I would do this. That is nothing because it's pinned. I'm going to play here. Now these rooks are disconnected. This is targeting this pawn. So if this guy captures, I can't recapture like this. If I took here, the queen could recapture. You know, maybe the best move here was this. Or yeah, maybe it was this. I don't know. Is there any merit here to a rook lift? He takes. I come around. I don't want to retreat. But I don't think I have a choice. Now, there is a checkmate pattern here. But I think if I play here, he's going to come back. But if he takes, I would just capture. He could do that. I'm going to play here. Oof. Now, I have this check. This is the thing. I have this check. But if I play it, he's going to play here. But I would take that shit. here, here. He could retreat back to that corner. I'm going to take that. All right, I'm going to start with this. Now, is there any merit here? What if he goes back? Well, first of all, if I play this, how does he defend that? Just straight up, how do you defend that? Here? Let's ask the man. How do you defend it? How do you defend this? So we'll start here. Now I could take this and expose this pin. First of all, this is attacked twice, defended once. No. So he can't move this away, or he's in trouble. This is even more problematic because now you're threatening to take it with the rook, right? So if I took here and he took that, I think that's just bad. If I push this and he took, I could take with check. Now he comes around like this. What if I push, he takes, and I play here? You would take, right? Yeah, I'm gonna push. So he's trying to trap my queen. I go here, he goes there. I go here, maybe he plays this, right? He's trying to slow down the attack. Okay, let's do it. But now that's in a Pinsky. That's in a little Pinsky. So, do I line up a third attacker here? On this cat? He already can't move or he loses the queen. Alright, so look. I could cash in right now with a free bishop. Cash in with a free bishop. Boop. Check. Forces the exchange. He plays here, and then I think we're happy. Alright? However, is that how Daniel Naroditsky would do it? Well, if I play here, maybe he does this, right? What would Daniel Naroditsky do here? He could save this guy, or I could cash in and take the material. If I play this move, he's got these squares, and I don't have anything. Or I could take this and go into a winning endgame. Like, you know, I think you take the material and you go into the endgame up a rook. If I play this and he takes here, I'm not in love with that. However, However, okay, let's play this. Now, he's threatening this, all right? And my back rank is weak. It is weak here. And these passed pawns could become a problem. If I take and he goes here, he's threatening mate in 1. I push, he pushes. I come over, he pushes. I take, he plays check, I step up, I lose the game. So he does have a threat here. A real threat. Check. And then I can slide over and try to pick up some of the, stop these pawns like that. Because this, I think, is too slow. Check. Game over. So what do I do here, boys? All right, so if I push here and he takes, I play check. He moves, I slide over. He plays check, I step up. He pushes, I take. I think that's how I have to do it. Push, takes. Check, over. Check, step up. He pushes, I take. He pushes again. Yeah, I think that's how I have to play this. Check, and then I get behind these pawns. Now, I don't have this square. You're going to give me this pawn? Check. Oh, that ain't check. Be clinical, be clinical. Okay. If I play check, he could escape over to here, right? If I play this, I think that forces him to play here. Check. He goes here. I play this. Then I have this. He's 2 moves from getting the queen here. I have to get behind this pawn. I can't allow that to queen. If I push and push, I'm going to sack both of these rooks. What? I mean, that was just ridiculous. Alright. Well, we just beat Julius Caesar, boys and girls. We've just bested Caesar. Yeah, he blew that end game. So you should have taken the end game study, Caesar. Should have been studying end games, bud. That's nice, an 1800 by 1795. Why couldn't he have just been 1800? If he'd have been 1800, he'd have beat me. All right, let's have a look at the game here. Got the Dubsky against Caesar. 82%. 85.5%. 2 inaccuracies. Okay. We played 9 book moves, though. All right, so let's have a look here. All right, so the book move is c3. This is also playable. Okay. I had a good advantage, but lost it. Nice, dude. Just take the pawn. All right, so all right, so let's see. Did we didn't play this correctly. Just take the pawn. Ah, take the pawn, because then we get a queen. Yeah, I mean, that's, you know. We take those. We take those. Well, that's it, guys. Let's one more time. Let's look at how we done here. Played 85.5% with 2 great moves. He played 80.7. 2 inaccuracies and 2 mistakes and a miss. Oh. What if he just played something like this? Oh, he loses. Oh, the Forcarino. Yeah, boy, I missed that. Damn. That'd have been a nice find, wouldn't it? He had 6 inaccuracies, but we had more best moves, more excellent moves. We had 9 book moves, and we played like a 2250 with 100% opening accuracy. So we take those. Anyway, if y'all like that, like, comment, subscribe, all the things. I've been holding off on doing Julius Caesar for a little while. I wanted to do the man justice. I never looked anything up, and I should have, but I didn't. So if y'all want to see a deeper dive into this guy's life, let me know, because I would absolutely do one. So see y'all in the next video. See you guys.